I am thrilled to introduce you to Alan Chica. He has been a part of the Global Grant Writers Collective for almost 1 year. Before joining, Alan was the communications manager at his family's scanning bureau business for over 8 years. He joined because he knew his future was not in scanning documents all day. He wanted to work at a job that was meaningful and can support himself financially. Since joining, he has adapted his new role as a grant writer and learned quickly how to work remotely and independently. He was also able to land a full-time grant writing position at a large nonprofit in New York City only 10 months into his journey as a grant writer. I know you will enjoy this conversation because I had a blast. Alan is so inspiring. Let's dive in. Welcome, Alan. I am so excited to be able to share some of your grant writing journey with our community all around on the internet today. So yeah, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Alex.
Of course. Okay, so my first question, my husband and I were listening to this podcast the other day, and they talked about the hamster wheel and how sometimes we're either forced off the hamster wheel or we jump off the hamster wheel and we take a pause to think critically about what our next move will be. And so I'm just curious about how you decided to jump off that hamster wheel and into grant writing. How did the conversation kind of go in your head to intentionally change career paths?
Yeah, so I was always wanting to make a career switch into something. I think I made the career switch to grant writing at the beginning of this year in 2022.
Hmm.
And before that, I was kind of just working to make a living. Didn't really like have much stuff that I was necessarily passionate about. But I knew I did want something.
Hmm.
Um, and I think the overall process for choosing grant writing took about a year.
Okay.
Uh, I remember in the midst of the pandemic, sort of wanting to make a career switch and looking things up.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I did see stuff for grant writing, which was my first time seeing it, but it was I'd never heard of it before, so I didn't feel safe applying for it or anything.
Uh-huh.
But ever since then, I was slowly thinking about it and did research, and from there I
Yeah.
found that there's a it's not too big of a barrier to entry.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like even though, like I say, it was a year, I feel like I've been psyching myself up to do something for many, many years.
Mm. Yeah.
Just didn't know what it was. And the around the end of last year, there was a sort of perfect storm of things which made me feel like I had no choice but to make a switch to grant writing. In
Mm-hmm.
terms of my living situation, in terms of my working situation, they were not working out for me. And so I ended up very, very, very suddenly making the hard switch to grant writing and committing to it. And fortunately,
Mm-hmm.
very lucky to see it had worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. That is great. I love that. Okay, so thinking back to when you first joined, what did success look like for you?
Um, I kept it pretty basic. I mean, I just want a job that pays well, that I can work remotely, um, and that I could use to support my life. I mean,
Yeah.
part of my journey for grant writing involved having to work less at my job, and so I had less money, and so
Mhm.
I ended up moving back home. This is actually my room from when I was a kid. Yeah,
That's
so
incredible. What an amazing sacrifice to make, like to get to where you wanted to be, right? It's a short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain. Hmm.
yeah, yeah, and so being at home, there was a big motivation for me to find something that I could do that would pay the bills and let me purchase a house. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I guess that's the answer to your question.
Awesome. I love that. Um, so is that what your big goal is to purchase a house? That's what you're saving for?
I guess so. I mean,
Yeah.
I've only this job honestly came very quickly and out of nowhere, so I
Yeah.
hadn't done any planning for that. So now I'm sort of thrusted into the next step. But
I
I
love
suppose that
that.
would be the next step: saving up money to get a house and live somewhere
Yeah.
nice.
That's amazing. I love it. Okay, so what has been the most challenging aspect of this journey? You mentioned kind of all of a sudden you had to choose a little bit of what happened. and jump into grant writing, but what has been challenging in that transition?
It's very scary to try to do something new, like completely brand new that you've never done before. And
Hmm.
I definitely felt that a lot throughout this year.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of fear about, can I do this? Do I even have the skill set to do this? Because I don't know about most people, but one thing I usually have struggled with in the past is overthinking and
Hmm.
overanalyzing and getting bogged down by how much I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact of the matter is, like at the end of the day, you can only do so much in a single day, and
Mhm.
that's it. So regardless of how, like with grants, like the grant application process is long and tiresome sometimes, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you're only doing a certain amount of things in one day, and then you're done. You know, you got to sort of
Hmm.
treat it like a 9 to 5, even if it's necessarily not. Even if you're doing it as in freelance.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Really prioritize what you want to work on, what you need to accomplish, and then let the rest of it go. Yeah, incredible. So tell us a little bit about your journey to landing the job. So obviously, probably the one of the most exciting elements is that you've landed this job 10 months in. It's a great job with an amazing nonprofit. What did the preparation to land that job look like?
It was very coincidental. So a lot of it was me doing the informational interviews from
Yeah.
the grant writing course, and I had done that for quite a while.
Okay.
Um,
How many
I
do you think you
think
had?
how many? Oh man,
Yeah.
I'd say around 30 or so informational interviews,
Okay,
and
great.
I reached out to like over like hundreds and hundreds of people, hundreds.
Hmm. Wow.
But in one of the interviews I did, I spoke with who is now my current boss,
Nice.
and I spoke with her back in May, I believe, and it was
Hmm.
just like a random interview from a random stranger. But even at the time, she was very nice, and she let me know like, hey, even though you're new in your journey, I would we just had a writing position open like a month ago or so. I wish we could have hired you, and I'm like, that's fine. Wasn't expecting a job or anything. But then, I'm trying to do follow up on people I've reached out to,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So I believe I did that in like late August, early September,
Okay.
something around that time. And she reached back to me and she's like, we're doing great. We actually need another grant writer. Uh,
Perfect.
yeah. And thankfully, around the time of the interview, I had just got done working with one of my first clients.
Nice. Okay.
Uh, so I had writing samples for them. I had some stuff for them.
Perfect.
I did a
Yeah.
funding strategy for my client, and it ended up being pretty good, and a power prospectus. And so
Awesome.
I submitted that as part of my application, and you know
Hmm.
did an interview, and it ended up working out.
I
That's
love
about it.
that. Oh, that's so cool. So, I want to back up to your like sending hundreds and hundreds of requests that only resulted in 30 interviews. Can you talk
Yeah.
about, was it hard to send out and like send out these cold emails, hear nothing back? Like, how did you get through that kind of almost
Again,
sort of rejection?
it is. It is. I mean, I didn't take it too hard though, because it's me sending a completely random email to a complete random stranger.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think on average, on a good day, it was like 1 in 10 people. 1 in 10 people would reply. Not even that, like 1 in 20 or something like that.
Nice. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I didn't. It didn't necessarily bother me though, because it's like if I got a random spam email, I think 1 out of 100 times I would click on it, and every other time I would
Right.
just delete it. So it's not.
Yeah.
I don't mind. But I know that like within any career, there's always someone who's willing to like tell you about their life and spiel about
Hmm.
themselves. They don't care. Some people
Hmm.
like doing that,
Yep.
and fortunately, one of my bosses now was one of those people.
It's so incredible. It's so magical. So how did your other info interviews lead to interesting opportunities? You mentioned one client. Did that one come from an info interview?
No, that one actually came from a someone I had known back in college.
Nice.
Uh, he's got an interesting story. I'll give him a little shout out. His name is
Yeah.
Diego Bariscal, and the
Okay.
nonprofit he runs is called Together International. Uh, it's a
Sweet.
gr- it's a great nonprofit. It focuses on empowering people with disabilities and
Hmm.
working with people who are disabled who want to start their own businesses. He's a
Oh,
startup
very
accelerator
cool.
specifically
Okay.
for people with disabilities. There does not exist another one in the entire country. So yeah, it's very impressive. And he's always been into this stuff. Back, even way back in college, he immigrated from Mexico, and he himself has cerebral palsy, and so he's it's been a lot of boots on the ground stuff for him. So, you know,
Yeah.
when it came time to for me to do the grant writing stuff, I kind of reconnect with him, not really expecting to
Nice.
do any job work for him, just to be
Yeah.
like, hey, here's what's been going on in my life, like maybe we can network something. But he was just like, hey, I
Hmm.
could really use the help. I could really use a grant writer. So that was good. And so I what I did for him was, like I said, I gave him a funding strategy. I gave
Yeah.
him a good list of funders to go after, and a few, for the next like
Awesome.
12 to 18 months or whatever.
Nice. Oh my gosh. Have you been able to pursue any of those grants, or has he pursued any of the grants in that funding strategy yet? Sometimes it takes a while.
Yeah. So for right now, I helped him right during the whole research process, essentially.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I did the research for the grants for the clients, and I did the outreach, and I
Nice.
helped conduct one interview with one of the funders who was willing to hear us
Very
out.
cool.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, the next step is outreach. And so, now that I'm working this full time job, I don't have as much time to help him, so I'm kind of taking more of a side role now,
Hmm.
with that.
Hmm.
But I'm still there to assist as needed.
That's awesome. Oh, I bet that is a really cool collaboration. And I love that, interactions that we've had however many years ago can come full circle in this new season of life for you, right? I think often we discount the people who we've maybe crossed paths with however long ago that could come back in and lead to magical doors being opened.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, there was actually, other things that didn't end up working out, but there were other people that I knew as well,
Nice.
who also, either wanted me to help them with some type of grant thing or
Hmm.
recommended me to somebody. And I mean, like, I would say I'm also blessed in the fact that I was able to, go to the college that I did and and knew the people that I did.
Yeah.
Not everyone has that opportunity. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
I am grateful for that helping me, because I mean I feel like that really did help me get the job.
A hundred
Having that
percent.
having
Yeah.
that having that small amount of experience under my belt was sort of just enough, for them
Hmm.
to see what I had going on. And I remember, also to that end, before that, before I was doing grant writing, I spent many years just working in an office doing a lot of project management stuff. And
Hmm.
I'm noticing that being a grant writer is maybe like 20% writing and 80% project management. So
Yep.
I've got that part down packed.
That's awesome. Yes, you're totally right. I mean, the role that I obviously played in our own consulting practice was just the project management elements, because sometimes you need one person dedicated to the writing and one person dedicated to the project management. So it's incredible that you can do both. It makes
Yeah, I
you
mean
very
the writing
valuable.
part's something I'm now doing more of thanks to this position, and so I'm only
Yeah.
going to get better at that part too.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so tell us about your new job.
Yeah, so I work at the Doe Fund, located in New York City. They've been around for about 30 years now. They're a
Cool.
pretty big nonprofit. They focus on helping out homeless people who are homeless and the formerly incarcerated men in New York City,
Hmm. Very
by
cool.
providing them what they kind of describe as sort of a three-legged stool approach. They have paid
Nice.
work, where they
Okay.
offer them trainings, and they own a few social enterprises. They own a few private businesses themselves. So they get them to work.
Nice.
They offer them support services on things like getting their GEDs, learning computer skills, financial skills, learning how to pay child support, navigate the criminal justice world that they may be stuck in,
Hmm. Yeah.
and transitional housing. So they own
Wow.
lots of transitional homes for their trainees, and so it's a really
Wow.
big thing they're doing, and it's pretty unique in the sense that it's not just relying on one of those things,
Hmm.
because to really bring someone's life from the gutters essentially up to becoming another contributing member of society, it's a lot for anybody.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
what I'm doing now is I'm a grant writer there, and I'm joining the development team.
Very cool.
And so there's a whole lot of grants that the Doe Fund currently manages. It's they've been around for quite a while, and they have a pretty positive reputation with a lot of funders.
Great.
And
Good.
so there's just a lot of people to like manage and maintain that are or like a lot of current grant stuff to maintain, but they have lots of aspirations to reach out to new ones.
That is incredible. And it's very unique, I would think. I mean, I don't know much about this space, that they own the transitional housing piece as well. I've heard of social enterprises and helping people, like an organization helps connect their clients to different organizations, to the transitional housing, to the employment. But to have all three in-house feels really unique.
Yeah, and they even have a skills-based training. So
Oh,
they
sweet.
teach classes on things like culinary, pest control, and welding, things like that. Like
Yeah.
careers that are in high demand and have like a option for upward mobility. Because it's like,
Hmm.
when the Dough Fund first started, they were only doing basic stuff like here's what we can do to get you a minimum wage job, but that's not gonna
Hmm.
give you a living anymore, especially not in the
Yeah.
city.
No,
There's
no.
very little single occupancy rooms in the city
Mm.
anymore, even. So like it's a bit hectic in that end. So that's why the Dough Fund has been doing a lot of that new skills stuff recently.
So neat. Oh, this is so fun. I just am so excited for you. It is such meaningful and impactful work. Okay. So, I mean, we've talked a lot about different accomplishments. What's your proudest accomplishment this far?
You mean in my grant writing career so far?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I would say getting the job. That was a
Yeah.
big one. It was
Yeah.
genuinely very surprising to me when I got it, and I was very happy to get it. And again, it was almost out of nowhere, and I was expecting to have to, I was doing the freelance thing up until a point where I felt ready enough to apply for a job with enough experience.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I was not expecting to get that soon. I really thought I would have to be at it for over a year or so, even more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was only about 10 months.
Okay, so I'm infinitely curious. What did you do to celebrate when you landed your incredible job?
Oh man, what did I do? I completely forgot. I don't think I did all that much. I think I just spent time with friends
Yeah.
and hung out. I think I took I think I told them like I was like, hey, I can't work until 2 weeks from now, so I gave myself like 2 weeks off or something like
Nice.
that. That
Good.
was nice.
Yep. Hmm.
No, I don't. I
Very
really
smart.
should do something though. I haven't done anything really big, but now that I'm working, I kind of need to keep working before I can get time off.
Yeah. But you should definitely celebrate, even if it's just buying yourself a cupcake or your favorite dessert or whatever it is. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so complete this sentence. The Global Grant Writers Collective has helped me.
The Global Grant Writers Collective has helped me really help me transition from into grant writing very well, and it really gave me the opportunity to transfer my skills that I already had
Mm-hmm.
into the field, and right away I felt like I learned a lot of the in the short time that I've been taking the grant writing course and been a part of the collective. I almost instantly right away knew sort of all the little things and tricks I had to learn about grant writing. Essentially, there's plenty that I don't know, obviously, but when I'm working at the Dough Fund and we're having meetings and discussing grants, a lot of the stuff does essentially it feels understandable, it feels figure outable,
Mm-hmm.
mostly due to the basic information that I did learn throughout the course. I think the course
Awesome.
is very well done.
Thank you.
The videos are very well done. As someone who had like, what was it, 21 years of education before this, like this is probably the easiest course for me to have ever taken. Very
Wow.
simple, very straightforward. The videos aren't boring. They aren't long. They're as long as they need to be, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that's really impressive too. I think lots of them drag on for too long.
Yeah.
A
Yep.
lot of educators aren't communicators, but you guys are both.
Hmm. Oh, thank you. That's a huge shout out to Meredith. I think I would talk for ages. So she's definitely reined me in. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much for that feedback. And I'm just so thrilled that we've been able to support you in those ways. Rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
What is one word to describe your dream lifestyle?
Easy.
Nice. Next vacation spot.
Columbia.
Oh, okay. I want to go with. Side note, I heard that there's giant pink mangoes somewhere in Colombia.
Oh
And
yeah, they got all sorts of mangoes. Yeah.
oh my
It's like,
gosh, I'm so
they've
excited.
got,
I
yeah,
like,
there's tens of thousands, there's tens of species of mango. Yeah, yeah.
have you been before?
Oh yeah, my family's from there.
Ah,
I haven't been there in
incredible.
too long though. It's been too long, so I would love to visit my family, and they live all throughout the country. So I'd be traveling all over.
That sounds magical. Okay, well, that's your big, big celebration when you get time off from your job. Awesome. Okay, fiction or nonfiction?
Fiction.
What are you reading right now?
I'm reading the Dune series.
Oh, nice. They just made a movie, I think, or a TV series, maybe?
Yeah, they made a movie of
A
like
movie.
part of the first book. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, last TV show you binged.
Oh, what was it? God, I haven't watched TV in forever. Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks. Yeah.
Nice. What's your superpower?
What is my superpower? Like right now?
Hmm.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably my ability to make connections. I guess like
Mm-hmm.
befriend people. I'm not
Yeah.
always into it, but I know I can always do it. You know, like I can always just force
Yeah.
myself to do it.
Yeah. Makes so much sense. Cool. Yeah, I can see that. Okay. And then my last question for you is to everyone out there who's debating going after their dream, whether it be to become a grant writing unicorn or a totally different dream, what would you tell them?
I think that when it comes to making a big commitment in life, it's insanely scary. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
anytime you do anything, I feel like that is it's effort. It gives you anxiety or worry. You know, a big part about it is the fact that like 90 in most cases 90% of the anxiety comes from starting. Like with all the informational
Yeah.
interviews I did, I felt 95% of the nervousness like 2 minutes before I had to like click on the little invite to go to the video chat. That's where I
Yeah.
felt so much more. And then as soon as the interview started, my anxiety went down the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but even still, you know, regardless of anxiety, starting something new like that is a thing to be worried about. It's even if you're not an anxious person, it's a thing to be anxious about.
Yeah.
And so to
Yep.
that, I would say it's a lot like almost jumping down a cliff, like a cliff into darkness that you can't see.
Mm-hmm.
And in that scenario, it's like if you're gonna make the jump, like look for as long as you want. Like peer over the edge, stare down to the darkness for as long as you want. That's totally fine. You can look, you can decide where to jump, where to land, where's the best place to go, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the only thing is just that if you do eventually decide to make the commitment to jump, when you jump, you jump. That's it. When you go, you commit. But take as long as you want before that to like really decide if that's what you want to do.
Yeah. I love that. And I love the imagery of like not deciding to jump fully, right? Is like one foot
Yeah.
still on the cliff and one foot down the valley. You know what I mean? And so it's
Yeah.
really nice imagery.
Sometimes
Hmm.
like life is scary and it's just not easy, and that's fine. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
Okay, so I do have one more question for you. Do you
Okay.
have a tool that has really helped you in those moments where you feel fearful to push past it?
I mean, it's you're not gonna make yourself not feel afraid. Is the thing. There's no way to
Mm-hmm.
not feel afraid. That's just
Yeah.
that's just how life works. But you can just do it anyway. Uh, and I think in a couple of ways. Like one thing that does help me is if you're preparing for an interview or you're preparing for something you got to do, don't do any sort of. What helps me is once it's like 30 minutes for like 15 minutes for the interview or 10 minutes for the interview, I don't even attempt to do any research at all. I just stop. I don't
Yeah,
write
it's a
anything
good tip.
down. I don't look at my notes. I don't do anything because it's like that's it. Anything else I'm gonna do is only gonna worry me. Like I'm gonna get more
Mm-hmm.
anxious. I'm gonna get
Mm-hmm.
frank to rereading and rereading my notes and rereading it.
Yeah.
So I literally just put it down and like don't think about it. And then when it happens, I literally just without with as little thinking as humanly possible, I just
Yeah.
click and I just do it.
I love it. I love it. Do you do something else random in those 10 minutes before the meeting? Like, do you meditate? Do you scroll Instagram? Do you
I
pet your
mean,
dog? You know?
I don't know. I definitely have tried doing things like meditation, and they haven't
Yeah,
necessarily stuck with me. Breathing can help, though. I mean,
yeah,
I know you guys have mentioned that a lot in your videos as well.
yeah. We're
The
big
idea
fans
of
of
how
breathing. Yeah.
of the breathing exercises that can help to control your heart rate.
Uh-huh.
But otherwise, it's just like it can be it's a little corny of an answer, but it's just have faith in yourself, and
Yeah.
that's a hard thing to do.
It is a
So
hard thing to do.
if you're able to have faith in yourself for even just like 2 seconds, that's 1,000 times better than like every other human being on earth who doesn't have faith in themselves and keeps working a shitty job that they don't want to work at.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very easy to keep doing what you're doing, and so like even if you try just a little bit to put yourself out there, you're already doing 1,000 times better than a million other people.
Yeah. Who wish they could take that action. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful. I have loved not only supporting the journey in the collective, your journey, but being there to watch it unfold. I mean, I think you should be really proud of the amazing, consistent, energetic, just hard work that you've poured not only into yourself but into this dream, and it's totally manifested in this beautiful beautiful way. And whether coincidental or not, it's because of the hard work and the actions that you took, and I hope that you're really proud of the journey that you've been on the last 10 months.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah,
Yeah,
I am proud.
good. Oh, awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your journey with us. It's been incredible.
All right. Yeah, no, it was great. It was great talking to you.
Yeah. All right. See you later.
Bye bye.